All right. Hey, y'all. Based on the popularity of the first sharpening video, I wanted to make a better, more simplified sharpening video. I know a lot of stuff that I'm doing in that video probably doesn't make sense. There's a lot of likes and there's a lot of not likes. I don't really care about the not likes. I care about the likes. But I really want to make something very simple so that you can, as fast as possible, get to sharp. And the kind of sharp that will cut a tomato so thin you could read the newspaper through it. Or cut an onion so cleanly that it doesn't even make gas and make you cry. So these are the types of things that you need to know when you're sharpening your chef's knife or any knife with what I would consider a non-recurved edge, okay? So we're not gonna do recurves. This is just for anything with a straight edge, and primarily I'm gonna focus today on the chef's knife. I have different stones. I have gone through all different types of stones before in my past, sharpening. I had the Japanese water stones, which are very much liked. The only problem for me is they require a bit of maintenance, and if you leave them in the water for like over a year, some of them will kind of fall apart. They're not really meant to be left in the water like that. So I don't have them anymore. I like the diamond stones. I also like this is the black ceramic stone from Spyderco. Now here's a thing to maybe try and understand. I had some people saying, well, this stone and the fine stone are the same grit. Well, the way ceramic cuts and the way diamonds cut are very different. And even if you have a stone that is maybe close to the same grit, they're both going to be different anyway. This is usually my go-to for finishing, but when I'm doing a chef's knife, I go up a little bit higher, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So this stone is a DMT coarse stone. I do not know how, it's extra coarse actually. I don't know how coarse it is, but it feels like pavement. Like if you're riding your bicycle and you fall off, this is how coarse this is. You could reshape an edge with this. You could take chips and really deep divots and stuff out of a fine thin edge with this type of a stone. So it's good for that. It's good for reshaping and reestablishing the edge geometry on a knife. I rarely use this. Sometimes I use it when I'm blending edges in the shop, when I have a knife in the vise and I'm doing a hand finishing. So sometimes I'll use that just like I was using a piece of sandpaper. I'll use this stone. This is the coarse stone. Now, you can look up what the grits are. It doesn't really matter to me what the number is. It just matters to me what it does. So I'm just giving you the designation. This is a DMT, the die sharp. It's a diamond, and this is coarse. So this feels a little better. I don't know what the grit is. I use that also sometimes if my knife is very dull or I've kind of lost my edge geometry. All right. Now, what I have on here right now is the fine. This is extra fine. This is extra fine. Now, this one is like 4,000, I think. Maybe it's finer. I'm just designating these stones exactly as they are. They don't have a grit size. They just have extra fine, fine, coarse, all these different things. So what I have here right now is the fine. And I'm going to begin with that, and then I'm going to skip over to the extra fine, which is extra fine. This is going to set the edge up, and this is going to finish the edge. And again, I want to keep this very simple. You don't need every different kind of stone there is. It is an opinion and a choice to continue to escalate in stone grit. You can go finer and finer and finer till you have pieces that are almost like glass. That's okay, that's a preference. What I found is, and if you have one of my knives, you know what I'm talking about. I use this and then I use this, and it is sharp enough to pop hair and cut onions and slice paper and everything else. It will pop a carrot in half or a sweet potato. Those are difficult things to cut. Cutting harder stuff in the kitchen is difficult. Also, cutting very light, fine things is difficult. But the thing is you want the knife to do the work. You don't want to have to fight it. You don't want to have to muscle it. You want that edge just to sail right through stuff. Just sail through stuff. Too many justs in there. Okay, let's begin. So first thing I want to do is find out where is my edge going to meet the stone. All right, so I'll lay the knife down flat. And this is almost touching it now, but I usually like to have the space of about 2/4 behind it. I mean, under the spine, so that's about 2/4. That should be approximately where I want to be. This will vary a bit, but on kitchen knives, it's a pretty shallow angle. Now, this knife has no secondary bevel. It is a flat ground knife, and the edge before I started sharpening was right about 0.010 thick, 0.010. That's pretty fine. Some people go finer, that's where I end up going, and then I'll progress through my different belts, and then I blend it in so there's no secondary bevel. So we're gonna go on that angle. One of the things you can do, you can support this, you can have, sometimes you can use your thumb as a spacer, whatever you want to do. I tend to like to hold it like you saw in the other video, but I know that it's very tricky for people, and I don't want to hear stories of people saying, well, I tried to sharpen it like you did and I cut my thumb off. I don't want you to do that. This is safe. What I did on this was I have a piece of masking tape on the table and a piece of masking tape on my block, and then I've glued it together. So when I'm pulling off something, I'm just pulling the tape off. It doesn't matter if the tape's stuck together. Hope that makes sense. Same thing with the stone, so I can change it out fairly easy. So let me show you what I'm gonna do. So on this kind of knife, you want it to be a uniform edge. This arc is in here for a very specific reason. The knife works properly because of the arc. So this knife, you can, believe it or not, you can fillet a fish with a knife like this, or cut onions, or just about anything. The French style chef's knife is my favorite kitchen knife design. It is, it works good for everything. It's good for everything. So let's make it sharp. I'm gonna come this way. So I'm pushing and now I'm gonna pull. I'm just trying to get it done. You come up with your own system for this. The most important part is the angle and making sure you have contact on the stone, okay? So here's my angle. We're just setting the edge up. What we want to do is develop a burr. We want a burr. What does that mean, right? I am doing this dry. These stones work fine dry. You can use them wet if you want. If you use water, you want to use a distilled water. You don't necessarily need it, but you can also use Windex. Windex has some ammonia. That way you don't end up getting your knife crusty or rusty. So, all right. So I'm looking for making a little bit of a burr on the edge of my knife. Now, I may or may not get it, but that's what I'm looking for. Just the weight of the knife. I'm just going to wipe that off with pepper stone. Don't cut yourself. Go a little further. One of the things I like about this is a very simple technique. Edges touching. I'm keeping the edge contact on the stone. So the other thing is, this is the first time this knife's ever been sharpened. And it was sharp already. Now, got a little bit of a burr. Probably can't see it, but I can see it. So I can push it over to one side with my finger. So once I have that, now I'm gonna switch stones. Okay, so I've got the extra fine. Let me look and see. It says extra fine. And that's how I know it is. Now, it even has the arrow on this side to show which side's up, because this is pretty smooth. I mean, I could tell it's like, I don't know, it's something above 4,000 grit. I'm sure if I looked on the packaging, it would tell me what it is, but I'm not doing that. It's just going to be extra fine for this video. I hope you enjoy. Now, what I'm gonna do, same thing. There's my angle right there, boom, boom, just getting the feel of it. You can count how many times if you want to. I mean, now we've got a finer burr. So now I'm just going to go one direction. Okay, really fine little wire edge on there, and I really want that to just fall off. So you could probably see it now. So one thing you can do, run the edge very lightly across the cutting board like that. It'll lay it all to one side. One of the techniques I use, I learned this from Murray Carter. One thumb on the back, 3 fingers together. I'm not trying to push, I just want to feel the little teeth, the little fine edge on this. Just look at that little burr on there. So I'm going to add one part that I don't normally show people, but this can help. All right. This is a strop. Now, I don't do a lot of stropping when I do this, very, very little. I don't want a polished edge like a razor blade. I want an edge that still has some teeth there, but I do want to get the wire off. So what I'm going to do, this is a piece of leather. It has some pink, no scratch compound on it, and I'm just going to give it 2 licks and 2 licks, and then I'll test it again, okay? Let's see if that did anything. Oh yeah. All right. Now, that's really nice. That's super fun. Okay, what we need to do is test the edge now. Okay, so I've got a Post-it note here. I like to use this as a little bit of a test media to see how my edge is and if I did a good job on it. So I'm just going to fold it in half. Oops, so it'll stand up, unfold it, and sit it there. And then we'll just let the knife cut in it. Sure. Okay, so what I showed you is just one way to sharpen your knife. There are many other ways. I have another video. I really prefer to hold them in my hand. That way I can get more edge contact. But just for those of you who don't feel comfortable with that, and I understand, this is why I made it. I hope it helps you. You don't need all these stones, really. You just need one that's fine and one that's a little finer than that, or maybe twice as fine, or in this case, extra, extra fine. So I hope you enjoy the video. I hope it helps. And while you're watching, leave a comment, ask a question, hit the subscribe button, and give us a thumbs up. And I hope your day is great.